least one Democrat is candid enough to admit that he and his fellow Democrats don't mind betraying the American people. The Republican leadership is betraying the American people also. How can a country that beheads and crucifies protesters win a place on the UN Human Rights Council? Democrats and Republicans agree to a budget deal compromise, more spending on everything. If you're using the word "too," that's T-O-O, then you hate women. 1 in 14 American children has at least one parent behind bars. California is guilty of discrimination against space aliens and the dead. And Rush Limbaugh says the Republican establishment wants our next president to be Hillary Clinton. My name is Howard Riell, and this is Riell Truth. You're listening to the American Freedom Network, streaming live around the world at AmericanNewsNet.com and on Facebook and YouTube and Tumblr and in the book Riell Truth, Stay Angry. By the way, makes good Christmas present. And, of course, as always, broadcasting out across the Colorado Front Range on KHNC, Johnstown, Colorado, 1360 AM, The Lion. Our call-in number, 877-254-7524. My friends, what the hell am I laughing about? Our country's going down the toilet. Don't believe me? Item from today's Rush Limbaugh show, I quote, "So how does the budget deal pave the way for Hillary Clinton?" Folks, it's real simple. Over half of any Republican candidate's campaign arsenal has just been neutered. The Republican Party cannot campaign by running around blaming the Democrats for destroying budget, for overspending, for threatening the very fabric economically of the country. They can't do it. This is the Republican budget deal that Barack Obama cannot wait to sign. So the idea that the Democratic Party and their nominee, most likely Hillary Clinton, pose a grave threat to this country's future because of their runaway spending, their expansion of the welfare state, the expansion of the entitlement state, the creation of more and more dependents, we can't say that anymore. A Republican presidential candidate is not saying that anymore. All the Democrats are going to have to do is say, wait, whoa, you're accusing us of doing what? And they just have to go back and cite this budget deal, which is coming up for a vote today. That's how over the top this is. It's how far the Republican Party has abandoned its own principles in putting together this budget. The fact that they make it a 2-year budget takes it out of the presidential campaign as having any relevance. And if the Republicans happen to win the presidency, the new president already has his first fiscal year budget signed into law by Barack Obama. Now, these things can be open because budgets are actually 1 year. I understand all that. But the effort here is to take this off the table for 2 years so there'll be no fights on the debt limit, therefore no potential government shutdowns. I have the idea they would be happy with Hillary Clinton as president, happier than with Ted Cruz, and that's not a feeling. I know that almost for a fact. I know that with almost ontological certainty. They, as members of the inside the Beltway establishment, no way, no how do they want anybody like Ted Cruz in the White House. They would much prefer Hillary, unquote. Well, my friends, Rush Limbaugh's a pretty sharp guy, so if he says it, I'm confident it's true. And it confirms everything I've seen, too. We don't have two parties. We have two names of parties. We have one party, the big government party, the make the American people dependent on government party. And that's what we're seeing with this budget. That's what we're seeing with Paul Ryan taking over as Speaker. It's now out in the open. It's not a secret anymore. You'd have to be deaf, dumb, and blind not to see it. We have one party, and that party is dedicated to itself. Period. Major, major tragedy for America. Speaking of which, item from rawconservative.com, a California state bill was just signed into law by Governor Jerry Brown that will register and allow illegal aliens to vote in U.S. elections. The new Motor Voter Act that is now law in California automatically registers residents of California to vote at the DMV. According to the law and a report by the Washington Times, quote, the new Motor Voter Act automatically registers to vote all eligible voters when they obtain or renew their driver's licenses as the Department of Motor Vehicles instead of requiring them to fill out a form, unquote. So, my friends, you no longer have to be a U.S. citizen to vote in U.S. elections if you live in California. Well, that's certainly discriminatory, isn't it? I mean, what about all the non-U.S. citizens in Asia and Africa and Europe? Why discriminate against those non-citizens? After all, if you don't have to be a citizen of America to vote, then why can't all 7 billion people vote? And by the way, what about space aliens from Andromeda or the Pleiades? Why can't they vote? Why discriminate against dead Americans? Well, they like to be called metaphysically challenged. But why discriminate against them? Why not just get yourself a Ouija board, ask them who they want to vote for, and record their votes? Ridiculous, right? But now it's the law in California. That sound you hear is the last nail being driven into the coffin of this once great country. Item from USA Today. Wait, it gets better. 1 in 14 children has at least one parent behind bars. And children in these situations suffer from low self-esteem, poor mental and physical health, and other problems, a national research organization says, unquote. I'll tell you what that 1 in 14 children suffers from. Having meatheads for parents. Having low-life animals for parents. I'm not blaming the children, certainly. And the parents get blame, of course, but you know, the real blame should rest upon our generation, baby boomers. We are the worst generation of parents in this nation's history. We've raised a generation that doesn't know, doesn't care, doesn't want to get off the couch, thinks everything's coming to them. 1 in 14 kids in America have a parent behind bars. What does that tell you about parents? What does it tell you about kids? What does it tell you about our society? More important, what does it tell you about the future of this country? Tells me we're in the crapper. Tells me we're going down the drain even faster than any of us had dared imagine. It's Wednesday. It's Riell Truth. I got more news that's going to make you sick to your stomach. And I know you want to hear it. And you know you want to hear it, so stay tuned.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tom Phillips, founder of the Green Earth. Well, it had to happen. When Colorado legalized marijuana, most people thought the Green Earth was a marijuana dispensary. Also, it was legalized on January the 1st, 2014, the same day we opened our new location at 4565 Kipling Street, 1.5 blocks south of I-70. There are 83,000 cars a day passing in front of our new location on Kipling Street, and most of them thought we were a marijuana dispensary. So we changed the name of our retail store to New Genesis Health, but we kept the name of our Green Herb Supplements. So when you come to our new location, look for our new name, New Genesis Health, or call us at 888-765-HERB. That's 888-765-4372. And be sure to listen to the Healthy Nature Show with Linda Phillips every Tuesday at 1 p.m.
Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirit with the name of God, because many false prophets have gone into the world. By this you will know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is of God, and every spirit that does not confess that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of Antichrist, which you have already heard was coming and is now already in the world. 1 John 4:1.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution
Guys, welcome back. Riell Truth, Howard Riell. I was just busy doing some internet shopping. I apologize. Now, here's the deal. We all know how much trouble those bakery operators got into when a gay couple wanted a wedding cake and they refused on religious grounds to make the cake for them. And the entire planet fell on those poor people. They were driven out of business because they wouldn't make a cake for a gay couple. Well, they were a Christian. Here's a video, you'll find it on my Facebook page, of someone with a hidden camera going to Muslim-owned bakeries and making the same request, a wedding cake for a gay wedding. Let's listen to what happens. My friends, there it is, and here's the crux point. Christian bakery says no. Headlines for weeks afterwards, all over America, they get basically sued out of business. Muslim bakeries do the same thing. Shh, nothing. So why the double standard? Why the hypocrisy? I don't care where you stand on this issue, but shouldn't it apply to every bakery equally, regardless of the religious persuasion of the baker? Of course it should. This is political correctness. If a Jew or a Christian does something wrong or perceived to be wrong, well, the whole solar system explodes in fire. If a Muslim does it, we don't want to get them angry. Folks, I'll let you in on a little secret. Don't tell anybody because I don't want this to get out. I do want to get them angry. Item from Breitbart: the giant debt ceiling increase rolled together with a budget deal was introduced at 11:36 p.m. on Monday in the dead of night, several congressional sources confirmed to Breitbart News. The text is 144 pages long and increases the debt ceiling beyond when President Barack Obama leaves office, all the way until March 2017. It also, according to Politico, increases spending by $50 billion this year and $30 billion more the following year. As the Associated Press reports, House Speaker Republican John Boehner is pushing for a Wednesday vote. This would be yet another instance in which he's broken his promise to give members and the public 3 full days, 72 hours, to read legislation before voting on it. Wait, my friends, it gets better. Related item from Reason.com. The good news about the budget deal? It's a budget deal. The bad news? Just about everything that's in it. The 2-year agreement, which comes with just days until the nation hits the debt ceiling, would suspend the debt limit until March 2017 in exchange for lifting the spending caps imposed by sequestration in equal amounts for both domestic and defense spending, avoiding a government shutdown in the process. Overall, the deal would boost spending by $80 billion over the next 2 years, unquote. So who's to blame? Who's to blame most? Plenty of blame to go around. Is it the Republicans or the Democrats? Well, it's a trick question. The person, the party, the place to send the blame most is you. You, America. Yeah, you. Don't look behind your shoulder. Don't look at the person next to you. You are to blame. Why? More than 90% of incumbent politicians get reelected. So a politician knows if he gets caught with his hand in the cookie jar, if he gets caught on a sexual escapade, if he lies to the voters, if he breaks his word and votes against the best interests of the American people, and that doesn't matter because you're going to vote for him again. He's going to be returned to office. So there's no price to pay. Crime has no punishment. Crime pays. Now, if I'll use a technical term, the bastards in the Republican Party who said they were going to get a good deal for America and now have sold us out and given us basically the deal the Democrats wanted, if they were afraid of losing their jobs, maybe this deal would look a lot different. But they're not, because you keep voting incumbents back into office, and so they have nothing to fear from telling you to screw off. Item from CarolineBlick.com. Democratic Senator Chris Coons from Delaware betrayed his backers and his voters when, at the end of the summer, as the Senate returned from recess, he announced he was supporting President Barack Obama's nuclear deal with Iran. Coons announced his decision in an address at the University of Delaware. There, Coons acknowledged the deal was terrible for America. He detailed all the ways the deal harms U.S. national security and places U.S. allies, including Israel, at grave risk. Quote, frankly, this is not the agreement I hoped for, Coons began. I'm troubled that the parties to this agreement, particularly Iran, have differing interpretations of key terms. and I remain deeply concerned about our ability to hold Iran to the terms of this agreement as we understand them. Coons continued, quote, under this agreement, Iran retains a civilian nuclear enrichment program that grows steadily in scope, and the hardened underground nuclear facility at Fordow continues to exist, filled with centrifuges, which, while sidelined from enrichment for 15 years, are not permanently shelved. Once Iran verifiably meets these obligations, he went on, it will gain access to tens of billions of dollars in Iranian assets frozen by our sanctions. We should expect that Iran will use some of those funds to support and arm its proxies in the region, terrorist organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah that threaten and attack Israel, or to support the murderous regime of Assad in Syria and the Houthis in Yemen. 5 years after the agreement, the UN's embargo on conventional arms shipments to Iran will end. And 8 years after the agreement, the UN embargo on ballistic missile technology will end, unquote. In an interview with the Washington Post, Coons admitted that by supporting the deal, he was betraying his supporters and friends. Coons recounted to the paper how, after holding a meeting with the Wilmington Jewish community, quote, a friend of more than 20 years told him to never speak to him again if he voted for a deal the friend believed would put Israel in grave danger because of the potential of an Iranian nuclear weapon, unquote. Well, my friends, this guy Coons, obviously, he admits it. He doesn't give a crap about what Jews think or about what Christians think. Certainly doesn't give a crap about what Republicans think. Doesn't give a crap about what his fellow Democrats think. He doesn't give a crap about America. So what does Coons give a crap about? I can tell you one word. You know what the word is. Coons. He cares about himself. He cares about cinching his place in the local Democratic establishment. He cares about pleasing his fellow party members. He cares about getting reelected. He cares about being a good old boy so that he'll stay in office, and if one day he has to leave office, don't worry about it. There will be all kinds of high-paying jobs offered to him because, after all, he's one of the good fellas in the Democratic Party. That's what he's interested in. And that's what's killing America, not just because of this schlep, but because that's how politicians in general act. They're doing it with the budget process. They're doing it with the Iranian nuclear program. Because we don't hold their feet to the fire. We don't insist that they represent us. We don't insist that they do what they tell us they're going to do. And so they lie to us, and they smear us, and they ignore us, and they insult us, and they go away scot-free. Your fault, America. Your fault. We'll be back.
If catastrophe struck, would your family be prepared? Are you confident you wouldn't react in a panic? Is there one place to get all of your emergency supplies? Paris Survival encourages you to have confidence through preparation, not panic through crisis. Paris Survival, located at 3366 South Broadway, is a professional, reputable, full-service business providing quality, realistic preparedness supplies at an affordable price. Go online, stop by, or call 303-781-0343. Paris Survival. Companies putting a location in your mind's parents. Some missing children are away from their parents less than 5 minutes when they disappeared. Your awareness could mean the difference between life and tragedy. Keep an eye out. Let's all do our part to help keep our children safe. This is from Front Range Roofing LLC Agreement. Call 970-353-2322 for quality service guarantee. They're on the air doing their part to help locate and bring our missing children home. That's Front Range Roofing LLC in Greeley. Great Plains Power has been providing reliable electrical power systems in the Rocky Mountain area since 1992. Our systems rely on the sun to help make you self-reliant for your power needs. Solar energy can be scaled to fit any situation, from complete power independence to backup power for the short term. Our expertise focuses on standalone power, but we have extensive experience with utility interactive systems as well. Custom tailored capabilities as modest as emergency lighting all the way to commercial scale power. Great Plains Power is a full service company. We service everything we sell, We provide and design turnkey packages, custom design system, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience at your disposal, let us know what your power concerns or goals are. Reach us by phone or the internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or go to greatplacesolar.com. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness of him and cried out, saying, This was he of whom I said, He who comes after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 14 and 15. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. This is the America News Network.
Hi guys, welcome back to Riell Truth Oct. I'm hearing from my tens of millions of Muslim listeners that I'm not spending enough time talking about Islam, and I want to apologize to them. It was not my intention to slight the religion of peace. In fact, there's lots of Muslims I can talk about in, say, Sweden, which is becoming the rape capital of Europe. Give a listen. My friends, that is what's coming here. Don't you fool yourself by saying, oh, well, that's Europe, that's not here, because before you know it, it'll be here. Item from National Review. In a piece titled, The Three-Letter Word That Cuts Women Down, University of Vermont freshman Cameron Schaefer explains that she had, quote, an epiphany about the word after talking to a friend about how she should cut her hair. Our conversation ended with, well, you don't want it to be too short or too long, Schaefer writes. There's no proper way for a woman to cut her hair, let alone do anything right in this world. Everything is to this or to that, she continues. Now, when she says everything, of course, what she really means is everything as it applies to women. After all, the very real damage inflicted by this word is yet another tragedy that only affects us, unquote. So, my friends, we have become a hyper-powered victim society, a martyr society. And so now if you use the word ambitious in regards to a woman, you're a sexist. If you use the word too, T-O-O, you're a sexist. Better just to keep your mouth shut. Better yet, it's better for my next subject here to keep her mouth shut. Item from Red Flag News. A vote for Hillary Rodham Clinton will bring about a whole other type of global warming, Donald Trump cautioned on Saturday. Quote, you want to have a mess of a country, you want to have nothing but problems, you want to have a country that goes to hell, you elect Hillary president. You have a country that goes to hell, Trump howled at thousands of supporters at a campaign rally in Jacksonville, Florida, unquote. Goes without saying, he's right. Item from the Activist Post. The Saudi ambassador to the United Nations, Abdallah al-Maulimi, spoke to BBC current affairs program Newsnight this week in an attempt to justify the country's horrendous human rights record. The Arab nation is currently planning to behead and then publicly crucify a 21-year-old protester who was a child at the time of his alleged crime. As if that weren't horrific enough, consider this gross hypocrisy. Saudi Arabia sits on the United Nations Human Rights Council. And as the interviewer demonstrates, many of the votes that allowed this to happen came from its friends in the West. That's our leaders, folks. Anchor Emily Maitland is visibly angry as she tells al-Maulimi, quote, the world is looking at you with outrage right now, unquote. Her interviewee refuses to discuss the tragic case in question, relating to a young man named Ali Mohammed Bakir al-Nimr who faces a cruel and inhumane death. He was just 17 when he was arrested for taking part in a demonstration. Ali was allegedly tortured into a confession and convicted in an unfair trial, which ended in him being condemned to a medieval-style death. Every appeal has been denied, and Amnesty International's campaign to stop the execution has so far been unsuccessful, unquote. My friends, here's what I'm going to do to protest that execution. Item from the Economic Collapse blog. Would you pay $400,000 for a single helmet? Of course you wouldn't. But that's precisely what the United States government is doing. Just the helmet for the pilot of the new F-35 Lightning II is going to cost taxpayers nearly $500,000. And since we're going to need 2,400 of those helmets, the total bill is going to end up approaching $1 billion. But what's $1 billion between friends, eh? Sadly, our military has a very long history of wasting money like this. Back in the 80s, the $600 toilet seat became quite famous. Average Americans were absolutely outraged that the government was wasting so much of our hard-earned money, and promises were made that things would change, unquote. My friends, this is a verity you can take to the bank. Government doesn't change. We'll be back.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, guys, I'm all done. I'm going to run out, and I'll be posting all this stuff later on. Look for it tonight. Keep up with the news. By the way, feel free to call in if you want. I don't mind being interrupted. After all, I was married twice. Goodbye.